Welcome to Moss Marketing Mondays, aka the M3 Podcast. Brought to you by Moss Marketing Group, bringing you everything marketing every Monday. Stay tuned for marketing tips and tricks you can use today. The M3 Podcast, marketing knowledge to help you succeed. Let's get started.
Welcome back to the M3 Podcast. Thank you for joining us this week. This week, we have Kaleb here with us, returning Ricky, Dre, myself. Thank you for coming to see us. Thank you for being here today, Ricky.
Yeah, okay, it's my pleasure.
Ricky and Kaleb. That's the first time I've botched one.
Calling out the wrong person.
Whoa.
Nice.
Thank you for being here, Kaleb.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Ricky.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Ricky's normally manning the beats over there, so always enjoy having Ricky on. So, Kaleb, you own GameTime Nutrition.
Yes, sir.
Owner and founder of GameTime Nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
What is GameTime Nutrition? Let's tell the people.
Yeah, so GameTime Nutrition is a coaching platform, nutrition coaching platform. I'm not a registered dietitian or nutritionist. I'm a nutrition coach, so I give direction, guidance, counseling, specifically and mainly with athletes. I do have some general population clients, but my primary focus is with high school, collegiate, and professional athletes, guiding them with nutritional input and supplement guidance as well.
Sounds legit.
Yeah.
I think we can tell from the couch that probably Ricky and Kaleb are eating better than us.
What are you talking about?
Ironically, we did just have pizza before this.
I know, lots
Wings.
of Pizza Hut. Yeah.
Some things you just don't tell the people.
Yeah.
I was hoping that they would maybe sponsor us or something.
Yeah, Pizza Hut sponsor one of these days.
Balance.
So, with coming into the nutrition space, what is, as Ricky bounces his head off his mic, what has led you into that? What is the Kaleb story that has brought you to nutrition and the fitness space and everything that you do there?
Yeah, man. So I think it kind of all stems back from being a skinny kid when I was younger. I was a baseball player all my life growing up, high school, college, and being the skinny kid was always something that wasn't the most appealing to college coaches and even just, from a personal standpoint. So I kind of fell in love with that through the process of athletics and baseball, especially. So going into my freshman year of college, I had a buddy who I now work with, and I went in to my freshman year of college baseball about 165 pounds, and the summer after my freshman year, we went down to Arizona, kind of had a pro off season, worked out at a facility, literally just lived in a 1-bedroom apartment, trained, ate, slept for 3 months.
Life.
Yeah, life.
Where'd you go to college at?
I went 2 years at Yakima Valley Community College in Washington, and then 2 years out at Sterling College, Central Kansas.
Okay.
Yeah. So after my freshman year at Yakima, went down with my buddies, spent the summer down there, came back sophomore year at about 208. So I went from about 168, and the next fall I was about 208 going into that fall. So
Dang.
A little heavier.
Yeah. So it kind of was the snowball that got things rolling with seeing what you could do with some focus and some dedication, and then, progressing past athletic and college career with baseball, kind of found my passion with that, and now helping especially younger athletes that I kind of see myself as with that progression, helping them, because, that was one thing that if I could go back and kind of wish I would have dedicated more time to, would have been the lifting, getting stronger aspect, and a little more size that would have translated onto the playing career. So, yeah.
I think I could have definitely used that. I know high school I was sitting about 170, and I could not gain weight to save my life.
Yeah.
I've had no problem gaining weight. Zero issue over here. I got the opposite problem.
I think a lot of people can relate to, for most people, it's they were a little chubbier than they want to be, and they want to get in shape that way. But there's tons of people, especially guys that are the skinny kid growing up, and they want to put mass on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always kind of correlated to being a fat kid and being a skinny kid, like you almost feel the same. Like people make fun of the skinny kid like almost much as they make fun of the fat kid. And I don't think there's much of a difference about like your self-confidence stuff is still like affected by that, being known as kind of the skinny kid.
Well, I will say that I had this like, I wasn't fat, but I wasn't in shape either.
Big boned is what we call it.
Big boned.
I had to get husky pants. I just had a weird body shape until like junior year of high school. It was crazy. Like up to that point, like girls didn't talk to me. Like just things didn't at school weren't the most fun. And all of a sudden I started lifting and those things shifted and I grew like 6 inches. All of a sudden I went from looking like a pear to like the body shape the right way. Then all of a sudden it was like just the world changed like overnight.
That's called puberty.
Maybe I was just a late bloomer.
You started feeling different.
Yeah.
My voice got deeper. It was
I
weird.
just like grew up and
Hair started growing different places.
yeah. Then all of a sudden it was like just everything so much different.
Yeah.
And I think that was probably the only point in my life that I was actually focused on nutrition,
Yeah.
things of that nature. I'm like, well, I got to focus on this stuff. I've definitely fallen off the train farther down the road. But Ricky's also, as he's came on, he's honed us in a lot more on the nutrition side.
I'm definitely trying to.
I haven't drank pop for like 2 months.
Save the pop.
I about said 2 weeks.
You almost said 2 weeks as I was.
It's probably
super
about 2
impressive.
months.
That's pretty good.
And that was something I drink pop like often, like smaller wins. Like I don't eat candy anymore.
Yeah.
I don't do like a lot of that. I used to love eating candy when I went to
I still eat candy. I still drink pop.
Yeah.
Working on it. Not really.
But
But I enjoy it.
So 7 other siblings.
Yes, I am the
What
oldest
the heck?
of.
there's the bomb.
What was
Bam!
that like?
Pretty crazy because we were also all homeschooled, which is why I'm weird. But so yeah, so we
Did
we're
your parents
all-
own a school? Like it feels like with that many people, you probably had to own your own
essentially
school.
that's true. Yeah. So no, we went through. It was essentially like an online, like private, so where we had teachers and stuff and counselors that we sent all our stuff into, graded and stuff. But it was pretty wild. I mean, especially being younger. I think it's pretty chaotic.
Where was that at?
This was in Cle Elum, Washington.
So that was also in Washington.
Yes.
So the whole story was all through Washington.
Yeah. Yeah.
What, is there an age gap?
2 to 3
Well,
years.
there does have to be an age gap.
There,
No, I
Yes,
thought it was
7
7 tuplets.
And he just happened to be the
Yeah.
the first one.
I was the winner. Beat everybody else out. So yeah, 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
Is the
Between
age
each?
gap. Between each. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So they spaced it out. My mom always knew she wanted a big family, and my dad was a crazy motherfucker that said yes. And so,
Yeah, I would say mission accomplished to your mom.
yeah.
yeah.
Yep. So and that was kind of her life mission, and it's pretty cool seeing everybody growing up, and we're all super close still. My second youngest brother is my best friend, and he was a college baseball player. Also was an All-American last year. Hit 30 bombs as a college senior and should have been drafted, but different story. And younger brother after that was in the seminary going into the priesthood. And then there's 3 sisters after that are all competitive in swimming and track, shot put, discus. One boy and then one girl to round it out. So there's 4 boys and 4 girls.
Is that what it sounds like? There's a lot of athletics that came through all that. Is that what led into the fitness space and that side? Is it seems like every single one of your brothers and sisters are in that some sort of athlete.
I think it definitely stemmed from that. My grandpa he held the shot put record at Montana State for like a decade. My dad was also a baseball player, was drafted by the Angels out of high school. And so like baseball was kind of always in our family. And that's the direction me and my brother went, was our passions were baseball, definitely. And so, yeah, I mean, I think I've always had the mindset of, how can I level myself up on the athletic field? And so, going into that, it was obviously the weight room and how that translated over. So I kind of fell in love with it that way. And, seeing how much of an impact that can make, both from the nutrition and the training side, which, kind of just.
I would say kind of take that in light of like body composition and stuff like that, not necessarily like being a better athlete.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's honestly probably just as much like as being a better athlete is probably has just as much of an impact on, even body composition too. I don't think it's really fair to say like the whole 80-20 and stuff. I think it's almost as much like if you're going to pursue things, I guess, to the highest standard of it, it's like 100% in on the nutrition, 100% on the diet, 100% on the sleep. Like if you're really trying to
See, I told him I wasn't going to like this answer.
You thought it was 80%. It's actually 100.
Yeah.
I was hoping he was going to say, hey, man, maybe you can get away with like 40% nutrition.
Yeah. And I think, the misconception is that also that, what being all in on a diet has to look like is like chicken and broccoli 7 times a day, and it doesn't necessarily have to look like that. It looks a lot of different ways, but
that's what Ricky told me I need to eat.
Yeah.
It's not true. It's not true at all.
He said you can supplement broccoli for green beans.
I said it would work. It would definitely work.
Yeah, definitely could. But I think like just overall consistency, like if you're looking for results, like your diet doesn't have to be perfect 100% of the time. Your training doesn't have to be perfect 100% of the time, but your consistency with that over the days, weeks, months kind of has to be. So
I feel like it's like years over years.
Yeah.
I know there's nobody that I've ran into that like, wow, they're in really good shape. I'm like, yeah, I just started working out like 4 months ago, man. Like you never see that.
And you'll run into those freaks that, were good in as athletics just from the time they were born, or they were just blessed with genetics and gifted in the weight room and bodybuilding, powerlifting, whatever. But like that's, 1 in 100 people, and so like people want to like base themselves off of that. And it's like
rarities,
probably not that guy.
And if you are, you probably already know it.
Yes, like I heard something that. Like, you're genetically gifted when you are like 3 to 4 months into your thing and you're already elite with like not even really having to put that much in. Like if you're there already and you're just starting, you're probably that guy.
But I feel like also on those people, it becomes like a rarity of them making it to the top elite because their work ethic a lot of times I feel like isn't there.
Yeah.
I feel like the person that had to come from nothing, that was the skinny kid, was the fat kid, something like that had to push that envelope.
Yeah.
Experiences a different work ethic, a different drive mentally that most of all the really gifted athletes that we went to school with have really came out to be nothing.
Yeah.
I would say there's a handful.
There's a handful.
There's a handful
outliers,
that,
but there's also a huge amount
they're
of
the
very
ones,
gifted.
The ones that are at that next level are the ones that I never really saw them in there. Skinny, fat kid, awkward
a lot
phase.
of those guys didn't have that.
But they started training at a very young age.
Yeah.
And I think that does happen to a lot of people as they get burnt out.
Absolutely.
And you see people go from high school to college athletics where it's like, I'm an amazing athlete in high school. You go to college, you can be a great athlete, but that's completely, you're comparing like preschool to high school.
Yeah. The skill set increases so quick. And that's the same thing. We went to a D2 college.
Yeah.
That there's football players all over there that told everyone they were going to the NFL.
I mean, it was the top D2 college in football.
It is, but if you look at the stats over the last 5 years, I think I can count on one hand how many guys went to the NFL.
Yeah.
Like, it's a rarity that there's that many more really, really good D1 players out there that, and D2 to D1 still a step again that is so big.
Yeah.
I think baseball may be a little different. That I know that there was like some standout guys that played.
I wasn't good at baseball at all.
I never played baseball. It's
Still time, man. Still
uncoordinated.
I was pretty bad at wiffle ball, so
Didn't even want to try the baseball.
My one regret was that was the only sport I never played that I do wish I would have played.
Yeah. Baseball is something that I think you can make it in even if you're not a top D1 guy. A lot of people make that choice not to go straight D1, and there's other people that are at other places because of reasons like grades and stuff that...
We'll say grades play a big factor into some people too.
Yeah. So, I mean, like for baseball, for instance, how this is different from like other sports is a lot of guys do go the JUCO route right off the bat because they can get drafted after their first year from a JUCO versus NCAA. They got to wait until they're a junior, I believe, or after their sophomore year. So, like Bryce Harper went to a JUCO, got GED, went to a JUCO, and got drafted the next year. So, you can do that and not have to spend the time at a D1 doing that. So, you get a lot of competition at lower levels because of that stuff.
And you save a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Sounds of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I pay $141 for a piece of paper. It's somewhere around my house. I don't really know where it's at.
Right. Stacking dust up.
Yeah.
You are saving money on your car insurance, though.
I know because
You're
they
a
classify me
scientist.
as a scientist, so I get to save money on my...
Have you already heard the story?
No. What
Do you
is this story?
what type of scientist do you think he is?
So he's legitimately has a degree in science.
Yeah.
Yes.
That surprises, isn't it?
like 2 fields of science.
2 of them. So you have 2 degrees?
I have a degree and a minor.
Okay.
So like 2 field different.
You're going to be you're a geologist?
Ooh,
You look like a rock guy.
that is the first one.
Okay. That's the major.
Yep.
The minor.
And
Oh, I hope he gets it.
Astronomy.
physics.
Astronomy
Physics.
would be cool, though.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
I would actually probably enjoy that one. That would have been kind of cool to learn about space.
Be studying space rocks.
I took 2
Asteroids.
astronomy classes, and I had the answers to both classes. And they were online, so there was
Still
a
very
total of
hard
about
classes.
15 minutes allotted to those. I wish I would have applied myself a little more, but whatever.
Hindsight.
Highly used now. Highly
Yeah,
used.
no.
Like Pythagorean theorem. Use it every day of my
Oh my
life.
gosh. Yeah.
Working, trying to reel everything back. I know we go rogue sometimes. Working with athletes, things of that nature. You work with high school, college, and professional athletes, correct?
Yes.
Working with all those different athletes and coming up in that space, what do you think's the biggest thing that holds those guys back from achieving their goals to making it to the next level to really making a name for themselves, getting to, I don't know, that top level, the NFL, whatever level it is that they're going after?
Yeah, I think the consistency aspect, the compliance, really. Stan Efferding he's a bodybuilder and powerlifter, but he's got a quote that like compliance is a science, and I think that kind of goes for everything. Like the more diligent you can be, not 100% of the time, which is where most people want to go with kind of anything. Like everybody wants to go 100% to the other end of the spectrum for 2 weeks, and then go out. But people that can sustain a high level, weeks and months and years and on end, and put themselves in the right situations at the right times and know the right people is the biggest thing.
Well, what I think of when I think of that is I know you know who Ryan Dungey is. Have you guys heard of Ryan Dungey?
No.
He's a professional motocross racer, and he was at the top of his game into winning championships. Won 2 years in a row. 2 years. And then he hires the top trainer out of everyone. After he's already dominating the field, he hires the top trainer because he's like, there's another level,
Yeah.
and I'm going to be at that another level. And he's already there. He holds the championship.
Yeah.
Hires the top trainer and everything to push it further for himself and just starts separating himself. And then retired, and I think he's actually coming back this year.
That goes right back to that self-drive space.
Yeah.
There's a hunger in people that if you have that hunger to go get it 365 days a year, I feel like those are the people that make that even if you are on that top spot, I think I think that's what a lot of people don't realize is when they make it there, the first thing is when you step up there is guess what? Someone's coming after you now.
Yeah.
That no matter, the better you get, the more people that are chasing to have your spot.
Yeah.
And that's in business, that's in athletics, any professional athlete is one game away from someone taking their spot.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Any business owner is 1 day away or 1 month away from a different company taking their spot.
Isn't it one decision away? That's what Alex Hermosi says. You're one decision away from being a millionaire.
It's like Dre's starting to get
Just one.
He's getting where he's
Just
more
one.
than me.
I would say too, like, I think that goes in with people that are always just a student, whether it's a student of the game, like whatever game you're in. But, you talk about Kobe Bryant, like Kobe Bryant never stopped. It was always, the next game, like the end of the season, he was back on the court practicing the next day, An example that I can kind of relate to with that is I have several kind of high-level coaches that also run athletic training programs that are coaches themselves that I do their nutrition for. Like, they outsource to me. Like, could they figure it out on their own? Yeah. Do they know a lot about it? Yeah. But like the ego doesn't. Yeah. But the ego is like not getting in their way to ask for help, which is where I feel like a lot of people that just kind of swim around at the bottom is like, oh, I know stuff. So like being able to put aside your ego for whatever it is and realize that you still don't know shit.
Yeah.
And whatever it is.
I think there's so many people that think, we just call them know-it-alls, that you don't have to know everything about every single space.
Yeah.
That whatever it is, I'm not going to say I am a nutritionist. I'm not a workout guru, anything like that. So I am somebody, though, that when I take information and facts from someone, I'd prefer them be in better shape than me. I would prefer them have done it on themselves before they tell me. That's like my only requirement. But I just feel like you don't have to be 100% knowledgeable in every single space on whatever it is. And let those people be good at what they're good at.
Yep. And I think by outsourcing some of that stuff, you also free up some of your bandwidth.
Oh, we deal with it with business owners day in and day out. We have companies that we do marketing for that have marketing people that work in house.
Mm-hmm.
That like we don't have the time to handle this. Busy business owners are the ones that we like to work with the most. That they're like, we are so busy that we need your guys' help.
Yeah.
Instead of the person who's like, hey, I'm drowning. I'm like just throwing anything I can. Like I'm firing people. Maybe this will work. Like you want the people that they're so busy and they're growing and they're like, we're hiring people. We're doing this. We're doing that. We need help on marketing too.
Yeah.
You guys have an 8-person team that can do way more than me sitting there trying to vet people week over week, pay 5 times the money to try to get that done.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was you.
What?
Somebody cracked one somewhere.
Bush. I'll call it out.
And I think rounding that out is like people that not just being a student of whatever game they're in, but being able to invest in yourself, invest in your business, invest in all that. Like that's really what separates people at the end of the day is, are they willing to invest whatever time, effort, money, finding outside resources to better themselves?
We talked about that in the truck today when we were driving back from a meeting.
I think we almost talk about that every day.
I think we talk about, yeah, pretty much every day. We were driving back today from a meeting, and he looks at me. He's like, I think I have a new way to close someone. I'm like, okay, what's that? And he goes, name any Fortune 500 company. So I start naming off Fortune 500 companies.
You're straight up giving out my secret.
And he starts pulling them up. He's like, they're running social ads. They're running social ads. They're running social ads. So it's like, if these people are doing it, these are the ones that their stock goes up every single year.
These are the ones you can actually buy stock for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you look at, like, they didn't make it that spot by not marketing. They didn't make it that spot by not outsourcing, by not getting help, by doing all these things. And I'm like, as I'm driving home, I'm like sitting there as I'm spouting these off, and he's telling me, I'm like, it's really not a bad idea. I'm like, I didn't really think of that. But you take the top 500 companies of the country, guess what? Every single one of them, they're marketing on all platforms. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing to grow. They're spending that money.
Yeah.
And they're spending money to grow, to take that next step.
Good luck using that close now, though. Cat's out of the bag.
Now I let everyone know.
I was
I
literally-
already know what's happening here, bro.
Start hosting
Listen to your
seminars.
last podcast. I know what you're gonna do.
But
all right, cool.
there's your perfect plug-in afterwards. Be like, hey, you listen to every podcast.
So what have you been implementing from the podcast, huh?
Yeah, so you
You
know
changing
you have
your
to
diet?
spend money to make money. I like it. Let's get started today.
And one of those other things, like you were saying about coaches getting a coach themselves, I feel like one of the other things that goes into that is it can be really hard to coach yourself because you always second guess everything.
Yeah. And I think everybody has personal biases towards
100%.
themselves. And
What?
yeah.
I'm the best looking one here. I don't care what you say.
Yeah. So you kind of need somebody to kick you in the dick and say, do this, doofus. Like, you spend all this time doing the stuff you like going, I guess, back to the weight room. You know, you're going to do the exercises, workouts that you like, unless you're just a very, I don't know, you're just a different person. But
There's
Like
Ricky,
a David Goggins.
like Ricky that's just very disciplined on like, this is what I'm going to do
Yeah.
every day.
But
So-
even that, like I still bias towards the things I like.
yeah,
Like you're not going to catch me doing a CrossFit workout
not the stuff you suck at.
because that would be really hard for me.
Yeah.
But they always say change is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I think no one likes change, and especially whether you're diving into a different diet. Not the guy. I like my Panda once a week. Ricky likes Panda more than I do.
I love Panda.
Which I was very surprised about.
Place. It's actually a great place to get like meal prep from. Those big family pack meals.
Oh, the teriyaki chicken and white rice.
Yeah, that comes like the
Like-
three. You buy that, and that's a couple days worth of meals right there.
Yeah.
Ricky, why haven't you been doing that?
I feel
I
like
need to.
the couch is. I feel like you guys are a little crazy on that side of the couch.
I was going for like Beijing beef, like the tasty side of the Panda.
So I do always put the orange chicken in there. It is the highest calories. My opinion, it has the best taste. So it's all, like Kaleb was saying, it's all balance.
Yeah.
As he's like, now
What's the pepper like Angus steak that they got there? That's
what
my
you-
favorite.
Didn't
think
they
it's
get rid of it?
No,
I hope not.
I think it's called pepper Angus steak.
I think that is what it is.
I think there was something before that.
Maybe that's going to be your guys' sponsor.
So is that part of your nutrition plan? You tell people like, hey, you can go to Panda, but go meal prep and get like 7 days worth of Panda.
You know, it's really about like meeting people where they're at. Like if that's the next step, like you were talking about those little things, like if the next step is them eating, you know, pizza 5 times a day, and the next step is like getting meal
Shots
prep
fired
from
at our pizza.
yeah. You know, that next step for you is being able to, you know, from a compliance standpoint and just making those small sequential steps towards whatever you're working towards is going to Panda Express and getting meal prep. Like that's
Scale
what
of
you should do.
scale of 1 to 5. Where we at? Like strict to like not strict eating cheese puffs.
You can still fit cheese puffs in. So,
Are you talking about putting the Panda in there?
Yeah, I'm saying like
I don't know
Panda
where you're
scale
going
one,
with this.
Panda 1 to 5. Like, is that like super not healthy or like some?
I mean, the only thing with Panda is probably like, you know, and there's some conflicting data on, you know, the canolas and the seed oils and stuff. I would say that's really the only thing is what they cook their shit in. There's maybe some cause for concern. And then if that's, you know, because at the end of the day, the main thing is your caloric balance. Like if you can outrun the law of thermodynamics, then
So you're talking over my head now. And I feel like those
You're
people
a
watch-
scientist. Come on, you got it.
I didn't learn
a big
about this
scientist
in
guy.
geology.
So calories in, calories out is the main thing. There's been studies with the McDonald's diet. There's been like, I think there was a Twinkies diet and these people all lost weight because they were in a calorie deficit. Like, was their body composition necessarily improved? No, but they lost body fat and they lost weight because they were eating Twinkies, but it was controlled and they were in a caloric deficit. So that's the main thing. So you can eat whatever the hell you want if you're in a caloric deficit and that's your goal. You're going to do that. Like, if you're a competitor, you know, is that going to be necessarily the best thing for that 1% that you're working towards in that realm you're working within? I don't know. Maybe not. But for the vast majority of people in the general population, like, you could probably eat at Panda and probably hit your goals and be fine. Like,
I heard that was a go ahead, Dre. Get Panda. You're gonna get fit.
yeah.
And then especially if you equate for protein.
Yeah. I mean,
You hit
that's,
calories and then protein.
yeah.
See, that's
Makes it
Ricky's
kinda
big
fun.
thing. He just tells me I need to eat all this protein all the time, which
And there's
always come up short.
yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of benefit to that too. Because I mean, the roundabout way of that is if you're hitting your protein, you're also probably controlling calories because you're full as hell from eating that protein.
It's very hard, and as I eat more protein, I feel like I get bigger.
In a good way.
Yeah, but I'm really not trying to get any bigger. After clearing like 260, I was like, I'm done. I'm like, I don't need to go any farther. But Ricky's like, hit the protein intake.
So to get a little bit back on topic, how did GameTime Nutrition come about?
So I've been doing nutrition coaching since 2017. I finished like right as I was kind of rounding out my senior year. I was working with some of my teammates, classmates, and then pretty much as soon as I graduated, I was working with some clients, just kind of messed around and diving into that. And then my buddy that I talked about earlier in the show that I went to Arizona with, he has a pretty big athletic training facility and business in Arizona. And from the get-go of him with that, I've been his director of nutrition remotely here in Kansas City. So since about 2018, I've been the director of nutrition for Optimal Power Performance in Arizona. And it's always kind of played third fiddle to everything. Like I've always been a trainer and had other ventures, and I was kind of doing a nutrition coach on the side. At the same time, I was always maintaining 20 to 50 clients at one time. So it always was time consuming, but I never took the jump to just going balls deep and saying, let's see where this goes. And so, so it's this past year and beginning of this year, kind of just made that decision that it was time to go there. I already had a base established and clientele, and kind of came to realize that is one of my passions, and I'd rather take the jump to, taking a risk on myself and betting on myself. And
Best person to ever bet on is yourself.
Yeah, man. So
I tell everyone that.
Yeah.
Anyone you're ever going to bet on yourself.
Yeah.
It's the only person you can control. And
I think that's why I was always partial to individual sports, just me. I'm like, if I win, I lose, the only person I can blame is myself.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's going into, like, with the coaching and the nutrition coaching of what you do, you're 100% in control of where that goes.
Mm-hmm.
And you can acquire more individuals that you want to work with, and fire individuals if you don't want to work with them,
mm-hmm.
which I think that's what a lot of people have a misconception of, is that you have to work with everyone.
Yeah.
A lot of times there comes to firing of clients also.
Yeah.
And have you had to deal with any of firing of clients? Yeah,
I have. And that was one of the things too, that, being able to kind of pick and choose who I want to work with and dive deeper into that. Because dealing with shitty people is, can be a little...
Sucks.
Yeah, sucks. And so my buddy that I work with, and I'm the director of nutrition for, it is a application-only training facility. So you have to apply and be accepted to then pay money to train at the facility.
I like
you have to be accepted in?
Yes.
I like that.
Well, Ricky tried saying I need to work out 20 times a month.
Ricky did say
training.
Dre didn't work out enough to make it into his program.
I had an Instagram story saying I was picking up a couple training clients.
Yeah.
And he sent me a message, and I know he hadn't been going to the gym. He's doing better now. You're doing a lot better now. You're just going
to call me out right on the podcast.
Hey, right here.
He wasn't going to the gym.
You've been doing good the last couple weeks.
You're starting to get close to meeting like the
4 to 5
minimum requirements to get in.
Oh, minimum. Cool. Yeah.
Once you do it for like 60 days and you're consistent and everything.
15, as long as I'm hitting 15, that's like 50%. That's like average.
True. Hey.
I mean, I don't think that's actually average is probably like none.
I'm glad you're shooting for average.
I am over like 100 and almost 1,000% over last month. So that's a win in my book. He didn't question my numbers.
Proud of you.
I think they were bullshit, but I wasn't going to do that to you on the podcast.
Kaleb, do you think that having so many younger siblings has influenced your kind of bias towards wanting to help people and coach people, or no?
I would say so. I'd say more like being the oldest sibling.
Yeah.
Has an impact on that. And I think too, it's like I've worked enough jobs and high school jobs where it was just doing a job and not providing value, that like when I'm actually providing people real value and they're seeing results for that, like that is addicting in and of itself, you know, for whatever you're doing. If you're able to provide value, I think that you can be doing whatever it is. And that, I don't know, that's, I think, the real value in life for whoever you are. And you got to figure out what that is for you, is if, you know, providing value for people and seeing the results.
You have taken a problem, and anyone that can do this anywhere in the world can make a business model of it. You can find a problem and you can fix it. You have a business.
Mm-hmm.
And there comes with so much there. You have this, I don't know, inner self that humans want to help other humans.
Mm-hmm.
When you can do that and you provide that value, you do those things to help someone. And yours is helping someone actually with their physical being.
Yeah.
Their nutrition side, that is huge to people. Ours is on a business side, that if we can come to someone and they say they make X amount of dollars a month, yeah, granted, they're going to pay us, but we're going to make it to where they take home this much money.
Mm-hmm.
We bring a value, and it has so much weight to it as an individual that, like, I thrive for it.
Yeah.
Like, I can't wait for my phone to ring from a client.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you have that exact same thing where it's like you can't wait for someone to call and say, hey, you know what? I just got on the scale this morning. I was down 24 pounds.
Yeah.
Like, that's life-changing to someone.
Mm-hmm.
You're changing people's lives, like, physically. We're doing kind of a different deal where we're trying to change people's life financially.
Yeah.
But it's all relative on value of what you bring that person. And that's where you build lifelong clients and friends realistically.
Yeah. Yeah. Relationships.
Huge.
That's why we're all sitting on the couch.
Yeah. How this is all came together in 12 months is crazy. It's not even 12 months.
No, but I think all that goes hand in hand is you feel good, and that's why we start.
Actually, I think it's right about 12 months.
Almost.
Very close.
12 months for what?
That's what.
I'm trying to think when we met Ricky and Lauren, which.
Was it opening day?
In
No, it was before, because you came in to
what?
film a commercial.
July.
It is getting close.
We're getting close.
We'll have to figure out the day.
This year's flown by.
July 19th.
Time flies when you have fun.
See, our facts are coming across from July 19th, July 26th.
The facts are coming in way faster this time.
Logan even said, he's like, I'm not writing on the board. I'm just going to yell.
July 26th is when we met Ricky and Lauren, which has led to this whole podcast because we didn't know Kaleb before that. Everything. Just, it's crazy how the world works in such a short period of time.
Yep. Pretty wild.
The first time Dane pulled up in his giant black Duramax, there's a toolbox in the back of it. And then they came in and realized that they're like marketing or whatever, yada, yada. They pull out like some cool camera gear. Like from that day until probably I started, I had hoped and assumed that the toolbox had like the Pelican style foam cubes in there, and it was just full of camera.
It's gonna be
gear.
like the coolest thing you've ever seen when it opened.
Yeah.
And then you just found out it was like tie downs and chains and like random detailing shit.
Stuff you find in a toolbox.
Yeah.
Normal toolbox shit.
Thoroughly disappointed.
That was the first time I figured out Ricky's main hype of when he started.
Yeah, I was a little let down, but
Yeah.
that's okay.
Stuck around.
First week, he's like, I don't know if I want to
He's
stick
like,
around
yeah,
yet.
I think I thought
There
this
was-
was going to be way cooler.
There's no camera, there's no drone in that toolbox, so I don't
It's really
know
just
how I
like
feel.
truck stuff.
I mean, I'm not even really 100% sure how watertight it is. I don't know if I put something in there.
That's very, very good point.
Yeah.
So, Kaleb, most of your clients right now, do they come as referral through OPP, or where does your client base come from?
I would say the base of my clientele, yes, is through OPP.
Clarify what's OPP.
Optimal Power Performance, the company that I'm the director of nutrition for. So
I was going to say the same thing.
I was like, I don't think I know what you're talking about.
Half the couch
I
knew,
flip-flop
half the
that.
couch didn't.
yeah, so I would say it's about 50% now. Now that I'm actually putting a little bit of effort into social media, and trying to provide content and value via that. So, I've got my buddy to thank for, pushing clients towards me and having that relationship. He married into a basketball family. So, do you guys follow NBA at all?
I'm not going to lie to you and say yes.
This is a fake nod. Don't ask me questions.
So his father-in-law is Chris Childs, the guy that punched Kobe in the middle of the court and held that altercation.
I do know that.
Oh,
name.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's his father-in-law. So he developed some relationships with the basketball industry via that, and I've got to work with some cool guys through that. And then he was obviously a baseball player, so he's had the baseball connections that have come my way. And I would say all of them, the general population clients that I I've gained on my own, just working with them, past personal training clients, people that wanted to also, add on that extra element of the nutrition and the diet. It's about 50-50.
Very cool. So you mentioned a few connections that they have at Optimal Power and Performance. Is most of their traffic from word of mouth and referral based, or do they have a big social media presence, or what does that look like?
So both. He has never paid for an ad, I don't think, in his life. It's all been word of mouth, and he pretty much, from the training portion of that, so he has the in-house facility that he has athletes in, and then I think just opened up a facility, partnered up with a facility in Washington State. And then he outsources mobile online programming to several facilities on the West Coast. And it's primarily been all, going back to your question, this has been all referral, word of mouth, results with people. Yeah. I mean, he's by himself running a very, very successful business, just getting people results. And
Yeah.
So he probably runs a pretty Highline clientele, doesn't he?
Both, yeah.
So a lot of times I feel like that when people run very Highline clientele, that does become a very referral style space.
Yeah.
That we see that a lot in when we run ads for our company, we don't get super high spending car dealerships contacting us, which tends to be the higher cost point accounts that we have. That tends to be a much more referral based side.
Yeah.
Things of that nature, where when we throw ads out, we get individual mom and pop stores calling us, different things of that.
Yeah.
That kind of space.
Yeah.
That when you step up into that Highline space, Highline accounts, business owners speak to someone else that's in that space. They want reassurance of someone else before they go spend that money.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes into the fitness space, that comes into the auto space, that comes into the trucking and semi space, whatever space that is. Someone wants that, the same thing when we were in the car business. If someone came to us and they said, hey, you know what, these people are amazing at marketing, they didn't even have to come sell us.
Yeah.
I was like, let's go. Like, where can I sign? Where's the dotted line? Like,
yeah.
It wasn't even thinking twice about it because I trusted that person that told me yes, that it worked.
Yeah.
And I think in that space, those people, they have the money to pay for it.
Yeah.
And when they say yes, that, hey, he's the best nutritionist around, or nutrition coach, they're like, where can I sign? They're not even asking how much it is, anything of that nature.
Yeah.
So I also feel like part of that is when you're one of the premium price points, you're able to over deliver and provide so much value that those clients that you're helping become your biggest fans.
Mm-hmm.
And they're proud of the service that they're getting through you. And then they're telling everybody that can listen about that service that they're getting.
Yeah. Yep.
And a lot of times you can't do that if you're the cheapest option.
No. We talk about this a lot. Me and my buddy do that. So he had a couple clients that he kind of designed a package for and just kind of threw it out there. And he said if it wasn't for him and this guy, so with this client, I also work with him, done very well for himself, and has guided both of us. Like I pick his brain whenever I can. He owns multiple companies and worth millions and millions of dollars, and he kind of created the system to where it was almost opening the floodgates to where my buddy started making the ask more. Like he's like, you know what I mean? There's always kind of that humbleness part of it that is always there. But then once, you know, he recognized the value that he could provide, he also started making the ask to other clients, and it was receptive. You know, people were more receptive of that than more than he ever would have thought. And so, you know, I think that's a big holdback, or, you know, that holds people back a lot, is not making the ask for things and not kind of downplaying your value with things. You know, I was going off of that. I saw something the other day. It's like, you don't want, like, do you go to a trainer because they're the best trainer or because they're the cheapest trainer? And which one do you really want?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we see this so often in our space also, that Ricky can attest to this 100%, that the video space is so wide right now that you have my 13-year-old niece that got an iPhone and she's a videographer now, or you have the people that are running $50,000 worth of video equipment over here, and when they hit someone at a different price point, they're like, I'm just going to have my niece come out and do my video. And it's like,
Yeah.
It's crazy how many people we speak with, and they're like, hey, can you like share this video? Can you like put this stuff out for me? And they want to hit our following that we have built as a company on Instagram, Facebook, all these platforms. And I'm like, absolutely not. I do not want the mistake of someone out there seeing that video and thinking that we did it.
Yeah.
Hey, my son's been working out for 6 months. He knows how to do my diet.
Yeah.
Okay? I got faith.
It's one of those things that across all these platforms it's became.
Yeah. And it's the exclusivity portion of things too is another point. Like, you know, when you, like my buddy's facility, like when you create exclusivity with whatever you're doing, that is enticing to people. And usually the people that you want to be working with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There comes so much value with that too, that we've had to back off on how many accounts we can take on monthly.
Yeah.
We can only take on so many accounts monthly for us to properly grow the way we need to.
Account / budget.
Yeah, slash budget.
There's an aligned budget. So if we have a ginormous account, it's like, hey, you take up all 5 slots.
Yeah. So we can fill those spots up, but it's because we have a team that handles that stuff. Same way, but it's a very exclusive kind of deal. And we're coming in at a premium price, but we give a premium product, premium service, all of those things. And I think this space of, I don't know, the internet has done it to people with like car gurus in the auto space is now filtered toward just the cheapest car possible out there is the first one that pops up.
Yeah.
And just all these things is driven to people just going to the cheapest price.
But
Which I promise you, most of the time, the cheapest price is not the best option.
But I also go with that. I think that goes to quantity over quality. So you can sit there and you can move 1,000 units a month.
Yeah.
Or you could move 500.
But they're jeopardizing that quality for, and it comes in the same thing. You could get one workout or one diet plan that fits thousands of people and be 10 times cheaper than everyone else and just filter out the same thing. It's not be customized to anybody, anything of that nature, and probably move more than anyone else.
Yeah.
But it's just what kind of business model do you want to take going into that space?
And I think that's the hard part of something with, like, you know, as a nutrition coach, like what can you automate? Like I've got a couple educational courses that I've been working on. That's one reason too. It's been kind of in the works for 2 years and just been sitting idly. And so like I needed the bandwidth and the time to do that. Like what are some things that you can outsource to the masses that's also going to provide value for that? But then, you know, the people that actually want more attention, more detail, like, you know, being able to charge, to have the bandwidth to then give them the detail that they need.
There's a price on everything.
Yeah. Yep.
That was it. That was it.
I was waiting for.
I thought you were going somewhere.
I thought you were gonna go with the silent, awkward, like look at Dane.
Mic
like,
drop.
No, I was just sitting there. I'm like, I know a lot of times going into that is you can pay a price to get someone's time, and no matter what business it is, there's the huge marketing firms and marketing individuals where you pay an astronomical amount of money to
We
see
know
them
people
for
that have paid
15 minutes.
$15,000 to go have less than 15 minutes with an individual on marketing knowledge.
Yeah.
15 minutes. $1,000 a minute.
I have people call me every single day that don't even market with us. They're like wanting my ideas and thoughts on everything. How they're going to run things, how they're going to do this, how they're going to do that. And I'm like, why don't I charge to do this?
Yeah.
Like it comes into a space. It's if I called you, I'm like, hey man, I don't really want to pay you, but just can you send me over a diet plan this evening?
I'm not looking to sign up. I just have 5 or 6 questions I wanted to run by.
I just have 5 or 6 questions. Like, what do I need to eat for breakfast? What do I need to eat for lunch? And what do I eat for dinner?
And that's where I also have a portion of it. A lot of coaches do, and the smart ones do, have a consult service. So those people that, are just want a short, quick fix, you get charged for an hour of my time and, you provide one and done. It's not really building a relationship, but some people just want that. And so, I extend that service to some people because I'm not narrowing myself down necessarily just the people that want to commit for 3+ months into that. And so there are those people that just want, or maybe those same people that are already in a good place and they just want to have an hour of your time to just, get the icing on the cake and you can move from there. But yeah, it's always an interesting thing. But at the same time, usually the people that are reaching out and they just want something quick and snappy also don't want to pay for it either.
Yeah. And they'll pay 75% of it to get 10% of what you're offering.
Yeah, I'll charge more for just that 1 hour of doing it. And that's usually what would turn more people. More people would rather just do that. But then, it's interesting how people's mindsets with where, like, how much time and commitment they're willing to give to something and how much they're willing to pay for it, and then their expectations of where that's going to take them in what timeline.
And that goes right into that problem solving we talked about earlier, that we know people in the automotive consulting space that charge $50,000 for 5 days of service.
Yeah.
And most people think that's just like astronomical. They're like, how can anyone charge that? But you could have a dealership that's losing $600,000 a year on something, that $50,000 for a week to fix that problem now all of a sudden became a $550,000 plus.
Yeah.
That when people start understanding how those numbers work and in the big picture of business, that when you have a business that makes that kind of money, all of a sudden that $50,000 that most people think paid to one person is just crazy becomes pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
Because if I'm a business owner, anyone on this couch is a business owner, and you say, hey, you could make $550,000 more this year if you hire this guy for $50,000 this week, we're all going to do it.
Yeah.
We're not even going to think twice about it.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be started right now. Like, how fast can we get him here? But it's just one of those things that it comes to that what people's time is worth, what their education is worth, all of those things. And I think a lot of people discount that in the nutrition and fitness space.
Yeah.
And nobody wants, I don't want to say nobody, a large portion of people don't want to pay for that. And they just want all your knowledge that you have, that you've worked years and years and years to figure out.
Yeah.
I don't really want to pay for your whole thing. Just give it to me real fast.
It's like going to the doctors.
Trust me, I do it with Ricky. Ricky's there all the time. I don't want to pay for it, but you line me out and do this.
I know. I tried to ask him earlier. I'm like, so is this right? He looks at me. I'm like,
where's my $20?
I was like, you didn't let me sign up. This was your own fault.
I'm definitely going to bill you for that later. Did you check your Venmo?
He's like, I was trying to pay you and you wouldn't take it.
Yeah, my Venmo hasn't worked. I don't know. Yeah. No, but if you knew that, because I know you're self-taught and you you had to start from somewhere and you did the education after. But if you could go back to when you were 14 and change what you learned, how would you learn at 14 moving forward than what you did to get to where you're at? Hard question.
I'd like to know where Drake came up just with the random 14.
I was gonna ask, like, could it be 12?
Like, what? Where did the 14?
You can go back to 6.
Okay.
I don't care.
But
where we
let's
start.
cap it there.
Yeah.
Let's just say
Don't go
past
past 6.
Let's just say past
After
Caleb.
diapers. After diapers,
Yeah.
how would it change?
So are we talking? We're talking like coaching, like business standpoint, like what I know, like
I would just say as
leading
a whole.
into
as
business.
a whole.
Yeah.
I would say, and this is something I'm still, I don't know, I would say recovering from, but I'm kind of a cheapo, and that, getting over that mindset. I think people all have certain sects that they invest their time in, their money in, whatever. Like everybody has that, and your priorities are dictated from that. Like whatever you spend that in, everybody has something that they're in. It could be video games, whatever the hell it is. But a lot of people don't have that mindset when it comes to a business or personal growth and hiring coaches that are going to lead to long-term growth in the future, especially like the non-tangible things. For me especially, like if I can't put a number on it, like going to conferences or whatever it is, something that's going to lead to dividends and payoffs in the long term, but like you can't put a tangible ROI on it from the get-go. Like getting over that mindset and investing in yourself and betting on yourself from the get-go is always going to win at some point.
I think that every single coach that any person has listened to, from Grant Cardone to Ed Milet to any of those guys, that if they said they could go back, it was always to go to those networking events, go to those coaching events, go to those things that really brought them to the next level of thinking with their head and thinking to that higher scale.
Yeah.
I think when you start thinking of that higher scale, like as a company, I don't even think about spending money. I tell any person that sits within our company that if it's something that can save anyone time, and I'm not saying time is in like they're going to work on that time. If it's time that he can go golf or Rick can go hang out and do something with Lauren or what, Logan could go golf or Dalton or whatever it is, spend the money.
Yeah.
You don't need to justify it to me.
Yeah.
I don't think a day since I've been open I've ever said no to anything that anyone has said in this company about spending money.
Mm-hmm.
But if I spend the money, you have to correlate it back to gaining us time, because that is the most valuable thing that any of us have.
Yeah.
So when you look at it that way, it's like Ricky has came to me so many times about like, I think like we should do this or we do that. I'm like, all right, here's a card, go for it. Like, I don't even think twice about it. But as long as that growth side is going up and all those things are going the right direction, and I think that is really big in business owners that we meet with and we speak with, the people that are overly conservative sit at this like really low line of like struggling all the time.
Well, I think that line fluctuates with the market because they fluctuate with the market. And that's where I think if you're on a path going up, market can change or not. And a lot of your clients, if a market changes, they're still working with you.
Mm-hmm.
If the market changes in some smaller dealers, they see it.
Smaller businesses in general.
Well,
and,
yeah, just
and
business.
it goes both ways. When it goes up, we had it to where we had accounts that did better than they have ever done it since they've been open with COVID and everything like that.
Yeah.
The car market, the housing market, all this stuff saw this influx upwards. Completely different issue than most people normally think of, but car dealerships and real estate goes up and they don't have to do all the marketing that they were doing before. That hinders us.
Mm-hmm.
But when you build a reputation with those people of doing the right thing day over day and you build it with the right people, when the market's really hot, they're still doing what they're supposed to be doing, which guess what? One day this market's going to dip down, and those people are doing what they're supposed to be doing are going to be right back at the top, and they're going to be 25% better than they were when they started.
Recession proof.
Exactly.
So the big question that's always very difficult for everyone to answer, what is your vision of GameTime Nutrition over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, the foreseeable future?
No pressure.
Yeah, right. One, financial freedom, being able to do this from anywhere I want to be. If I want to be in Costa Rica, in Antigua, being able to do that, and I've kind of had a glimpse of that already, and it's pretty exciting. So growing that to a scale that I would like it to be, and then getting it to the point where I do have to outsource to other coaches under GameTime Nutrition and have people that are educated in quality and want to build this out with me. So
we talked about this with Turbo, with trust. Are you okay with trusting other people? Just trust.
No,
Across the board.
It's having trust with someone, having your name on the line.
Yeah.
Is that something you're open to?
yeah, it has to be the right people. I feel like that word is really comes down to relationships, and do you really know those people, or do you want to be cycling people in and out, and then they're in and out the door because you just needed to get somebody in, but maybe they weren't the best choice right off the bat, but they were willing to just go to work. But yeah, so I mean, yes, but it's also got to be a quality person that is willing to invest in themselves and me and the company and has a vision going forward.
That is probably the hardest part, I will say, of getting a business off the ground. And it's sometimes taking that hand off of everything.
Yeah.
And when that happens, life, business, everything like speed ramps so fast that I've talked to my girlfriend about this because she just hired her first agent on her team.
Plug last episode.
Yeah. But I told her, I'm like, once this starts, I'm like, be ready. Because everything starts happening so fast after this that I feel like I was like coasting. I was like, life is good. I get one person, like Drake comes on, then all of a sudden like Dawn came on, and then it is like speed ramped. That the time that you're thinking now of what 6 to 12 months looks like, if you keep pushing that growth the whole entire time, in 2 years, what 2 years looks like now looks like 30 days.
Yeah.
And it's crazy on how fast that happens. And I know that what my thought process is on 2 years ago.
I think we were looking at the six-year goal.
Like, all of a sudden these goals start happening so much faster. But you also have 8 people working on something that you used to think of one person working on.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, if you put 16 people working on what 8 of us are working on, now we can do 12 months of work in 6. Mm-hmm. And then that number just keeps escalating so fast. And I think that's how companies like that line. I think a lot of times they think it's like, it's the same all the way up, but it just keeps getting steeper and steeper as you go. All of a sudden you're like, whoa. And the second you're hiring somebody, you're like thinking about the next person.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, maybe the next set needs to be like 2 or 3 people.
I also feel like probably after you hire the first person and you realize the place doesn't burn to the ground, it gets a little easier than the next time, I would think.
I don't know. I was pretty close
You
to
think
burning the
that-
whole thing down.
Probably the most stressful thing, like every single time in this has been that like step, because it's an uncomfortable step every single time.
Yeah.
And it's not an uncomfortable step. A lot of times people think like financially, but it's giving that trust to someone else again.
Yeah.
That all of a sudden you're like bringing people on that are going to hold like GameTime Nutrition. That's like your thing.
Yeah.
When all of a sudden you give someone else that power, that's like you're handing over that power to someone again.
Yeah.
And every single time it's like, that's like the most stressful thing I do,
Hand over the car keys.
Exactly. It's like,
Don't crash it.
yeah,
Please bring it back.
Don't crash it. Like,
Yeah.
and it just, that same deal happens over and over and over. I don't know if that changes down the road. We're 8 in, and I don't know if that changes at some point.
I don't know. I hear people complain about McDonald's every day, and they still go to McDonald's.
I think
once you get that big, doesn't matter. People are gonna complain. They'll come back.
I think going off of that and then going back to the question about like what I would tell my 14-year-old self is that your circle dictates a lot of things, you know, and like the friends that you want, like be the friend that you would want to have, like be the spouse that you would want to be the spouse with, you know, like you become that person, you're going to attract those people that are going to be like-minded and within that same circle.
Yeah. And I try to focus on if anyone ever texts me, anybody ever wants something, I try to be that like hub that people have that are within my close circle.
Yeah.
It's a small circle now, but I was picking him up at the airport at like 1:30 in the morning. Like, and I'm driving from here to the airport back to Kearney, which is south of my house, and back or north of my house and back to my house. So it's like I got home at 2:45 in the morning.
I offered to give you a place to stay.
You probably could have Ubered, but it's like I'm always that person that we played a game and his girlfriend draws a card and she's like, "Who's the most reliable person that you know?" And she like looks at Drake. She's like, "I'm gonna have to say Dad." But
that's fake news.
But it's just trying to be that person that everyone like always just knows is there for him no matter what.
Yeah.
I feel like that just means a ton in the world.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people don't have that person.
I feel like a lot of people don't have that person. And a lot of people don't have that guidance in a company. So whether you go into a company whether it's Fortune 500 company, they look at you as another expense.
Yep.
So I think that's why a lot of small companies, it's a lot harder, but the individuals that work for that company are a lot more grateful because they get an opportunity to prove their strengths. And whether they mess up or not, it is your name on the line. But with growth comes mistakes.
Yep.
And one person learns a mistake, the whole company realizes it, and they're like, all right, let's not do that again. But I think you learn through growth, in my opinion.
And you learn by building the plane as you fly it.
Yep.
Yeah.
You say plane, I say ship. I just tell everyone I'm on this ship. I'm like trying to steer it, just make sure we don't sink it. Like as long as we go somewhere with it and it doesn't sink, I'll be happy. But we just all still have to be on it when it gets wherever it's supposed to be going.
Yeah.
But so I think you've answered pretty much everything that we had on our side.
You went through the entire list of questions.
Yeah, man.
I know. We nailed it. Very much appreciate you being on.
Yeah, guys, I really appreciate you guys having me.
Always appreciate Dre, Ricky, everyone. And normally this is my time to say Ricky, but we got Lauren on the sticks. So this is the M3 podcast. We will tag and put the links and everything below.
Plug is the word you're
Plug. I'm not the best on the YouTube, so GameTime Nutrition will be plugged below. This is the M3 podcast. Key Lauren.
Thanks for listening to the M3 Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Want to learn more? Check us out on Instagram at Moss Marketing Group, on Facebook at Moss Marketing 58, or on our website at mossmarketinggroup.com.